my terminal, and I'll just show. Okay. Yeah. So I think I need to go to that Spiderfoot. Yeah. Yeah. So once we are in it, let's execute the command where Python 3 is like to run this Python file, and this is to run it on my localhost port 5001, right? So let's execute this. And now it should be running on my localhost port 5001. These are very ready-made, and even a script kiddie can do it. Yeah, localhost port 5001. Yeah, and it's working, right? So I had done a lot of recon on my own email ID. I don't think that should cross lines because I give permission to myself. So yeah, so this is what it went on to find. These are the different accounts it found, and here is the graph on different data it has found. Let me check how. So these are the logs and stuff. So yeah, basically it has found different email addresses associated to that particular email ID and stuff. If there are any API or something related to it, that's what. So it has, yeah, this is one leak site URL. So at this particular place, my data has been leaked, right? So you can go to this dump and find my password or something which was leaked. Of course, I need to check that, and I have changed it everywhere, so I don't think I should be caught. And these are the data. So you can do new scan as well, which could, see these are the scope in which it can happen. A domain name, say we can do a scan for glug MVIT, or different IP addresses, host name, subnet, email, phone number. Just put someone's phone number and see what sort of information is available on the internet. It brings everything at one place. Name, email ID, anything. So since this looks pretty easy to use, I'll just skip the actual usage part, since you can just put the name and click on run scan and it would do the scan. Does anyone want me to do this actively, or I'll just move ahead since we are running out of time? Okay, Shubhendu has asked me to do a scan for his number. All right, so let's do it pretty fast. Yeah. So the number is 947299 1242. Right. So let's see what sort of information is available. Shubhendu's information on the internet. So yeah, so the scan is starting and it's searching for elements now. So this does definitely take some time. So basically the entire idea of Spiderfoot, and there are many different frameworks like that. Right. Sorry, Shubhendu, for the spelling mistake. I'll rectify it at the end of the call. So yeah. So basically this definitely takes some time because it loads a lot of module and scraps the data related to that particular number everywhere. As of now, it has just find out the country name and phone number and stuff. I'm afraid if I'll be able to wait until the end of this entire this thing. But yeah, see, as the telecommunication provider has come in and a lot more things. But yeah, at the end of it, let's see if I can send data to Shubhendu. Until then, I'll just proceed with a new window. Yeah, new tab. Yeah. So here, I think I've covered Spiderfoot. Let's see till the end of this call if we have data regarding Shubhendu's, open source information. Next, we are going to cover something called as Google Dorking, right? So I have written a blog on Google Dorking as well. And Google Dorking is basically very, very powerful tool, and any script kiddie, any newbie can use it. Even at the end of this call, you can just go to this exploitdb.com/Google hacking database, right? And you can just go to that website, and you can see a lot of dorks. Dorks are basically advanced searching methods. Say you want to search invite links of a lot of groups, right? So just take this and just go on to search it. Yeah. So once you search it, you can see how much of open information is available on the internet. And there are millions and millions of such groups which could be, spammed just by an order of a Python text or something, a Python program. Apart from that, there are really important, dorks. Yeah. So these dorks, expose a lot of juicy information which is directly available on internet. So this is it. So say once I put it, there are a lot of websites whose important info has appeared. So once we click on it, you can definitely look at the config file of it. You can get the information of their SSL certificate, security, responses.js, and whatnot. You can get their JavaScript information, their private keys and stuff. And this is the power of Google Dorking. I personally remember in my starting days, I had a friend who used to, find these dorks of a particular country. And he used to find the admin panel of that, and he used to do SQL injection and deface those websites. But these things are always to be used for good purposes and not for bad. I always believe information should always be used for positive purposes. As you can see, these are the site keys, right? Site keys, package keys, test user IDs. You can even get exposed passwords in this, right? So it's just a matter of luck. I'm pretty sure if I can do this for next 10-15 minutes, I can get admin passwords of couple of websites. So that's how much powerful Google Dorking is. But with respect to our topic, how we could help companies and big great organizations like Mozilla or even Microsoft programs, this is important. This is a important URL where I have written different Google Docs. You can watch this video to understand GHDB in depth. So these are basically different dorks. These are different, titles or stuff which we can use at the start of it. Does anyone have any doubt until now? Or am I too fast or am I too slow? I need to slow down. Okay, I think I'm doing a good job then, right? So these are the different things, different parameters which can be used. And these are the mandatory checklist. So how we use this is basically the site, and then we put the third party vendor where the developer might have done mistake, where the developer should not do the mistake, and the organization name. Say something is like CodePad, right? So let's take this dork. Of course, this vulnerability does not exist because we have checked it ourselves. So instead of organization name, let's put Glug MVIT, right? And let's see if any Glug MVIT's developers have done a mistake and put some information, important data on CodePad. So I don't see any, relevant information. So the developers have done good job. So similarly, developers use a lot of different things like GitLab, Scribd, and a lot more things, a lot more platforms, and they think that these data won't be exposed. But since Google scans every single thing on internet, even this gets scanned. And that's how data leak happens. I personally had got a good bounty with Prezi, I guess. No, REPL. Yeah, REPL is a very good platform where developers make a lot of boards and stuff in which they, put information. So I'd put the organization name. It's a private platform, so I can't put the name. So let's just put a random photo editing platform's name. So you can see REPL has a lot of that particular platform's set up. So this has a lot of code and stuff. So sometimes important juicy information gets exposed, and that could be of a great use. So this is just finding it and checking it, a lot of JS information. So it takes time, but yeah, you can always get through it. So that's about Google Docs Recon. This takes a lot of time, but this particular method can fetch you a lot of important data every time you're trying to hunt a website or attack a platform in information gathering stage. You can always do this to get that extra information which nobody has, which could be used later to potentially exploit the organization or to prevent it. So keynote to developers, please don't leave any of your data in any third-party platform thinking that nobody would be able to reach out even with different names. The open source information gathering methods easily helps you to reach out to these things. So, these things are always vulnerable. So it's important to follow the standards. Right. So now moving to the next part of it, since I've covered Google Docs, now comes the important part, Git Grabber. And this is going to be fun. This one particular platform has never ever disappointed me, right? So I think I have written about Git Grabber in GitHub Dorking. Yeah, I had written it. So you can download Git Grabber by this. Always use it for informative and positive purposes, and never do anything shady, please. So this is where you can download the tool, and yes, and this is how you can use it. I've just fabricated it beforehand and kept it. So let's say this is the pre-made tool. I note these tools, but I want to save time. So right. So you just have to run this, and you see how it extracts data from how it extracts data from GitHub, searching that particular keyword. Say I consider I am a huge company, something like Ujjwal.com. So if any GitHub repositories have that particular keyword, it scraps for all the important data from that particular keyword, right? So so this is how we can. Before that, I'll just show you the working of it. So basically, while setting this up, I had to put my GitHub API keys. I had to put Slack API keys, where all the notifications would go under Telegram bot keys. So automatically the results would be scrapped, and it can go there, but also it shows on terminal. So this is Git Grabber. You can always learn about how it works from here. So let's go and do the attack instead of just doing the talk, right? So I need to copy this again, and let's put some organization's name on whom we want to attack. Please don't misuse this data. So let's put a random, educational institute's name. Anyone has any educational institute's name or something? I'll just put. All right. So there's this educational institute in Bangalore. So let's try to scrap data out of it, and let's check what sort of data is available on GitHub. Right. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay. There's an error. So I think, okay, I had kept keyword in keyword.txt. Yeah. And now let's see what sort of data it scraps. So it says status code 200, and no important keyword is being scrapped out of this. But let's wait for a few seconds, and let's see if an important data is scrapped. Okay, so it says my API rate limit has exceeded. Please don't copy my token. I was using this last night, so okay, I've got a lot of universities' names. Right. So I think we have to wait for 51 seconds, after which, again, there's like rate limit that only 10 calls can be done by, the GitHub code per key. So I'd put 4 keys. So it takes like 40 calls or 40 requests, and then it waits for like 40-50 seconds. But this always gets some important fruitful data. See, it has started again, so you can see. I hope I get some data soon, because I don't want to waste your time. All right, we have another 53 seconds of waiting time. Right, so I had got a lot of scrap data last night. Let's see if Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions, I would be really happy to answer, because we have to wait for 53 seconds and this time is pretty important for you guys. So if you can shoot any questions with regard to anything until here or anything which you want to know, I would be more than happy to help. Also, university's name, you can give a try while you are ethically pen testing. So, right. Yeah, it started again. I hope it finds some data in this turn. I've exhausted my API key limits. I didn't remember it. So basically, it's scrapping through all these, GitHub links where the data, where any sort of data is available. Say this is Heroku OAuth token. So at this, it's not exposing any data. I'll show it to you. That's why it's showing in, yellowish brown color. So you can see there's not much of data. The validation fails. So this is safe and secure. So the developers have done good job until here. They have not exposed any data until here. Right. So Yogita has a question. How to secure the breached Gmail accounts? Right. So Yogita, I don't think Gmail has been breached in some time near. But yeah, the only way to secure if it has already been breached is change your passwords everywhere, and definitely not use that password anytime in future soon. Right. So that's one good way to be safe from breach. And use complex password, of course, and don't give away important passwords everywhere. So I have another question. How do we make sure that the platform we are uploading a code to is secure and not getting crawled by Google? For example, GitHub itself might be public, but private repositories should be safe to upload sensitive code. Right. So private repositories is definitely safe to upload sensitive code. But what happens at a lot of times is the developers are, the developers take these repositories in their personal account and do the commits, and then they push it to the, to the company account, and they, for some reason, they forget to change that. Or if, or say, you need to, not use that particular data everywhere. Say you're a developer and there are important API keys you're handling. So with respect to that, you don't need to put any hard-coded sensitive data in the code. There should be no sensitive data in the code ever. It should always be in config file, which is always included in git ignore, right? So because if it's not in git ignore, automatically while you perform a commit, it would get uploaded. Also, another big mistake which developers do is they particularly feel that if I put anything in robots.txt, it won't be crawled by the search engines, which they are right. But what happens is the attackers first motive while doing information gathering is they go to robots.txt and they see which important URLs are put in robots.txt, and they manually copy that URL, and they go on to, they paste it, and they go to that particular URL and try to exploit it. I don't know, I'm getting a lot of sleeping codes and stuff. I think API rate limit is being exhausted. So I wish I could have shown this. I'll wait for another minute, 1-2 minutes, if it finds any sensitive data, which it generally does. Then you could get a good idea what sort of data gets exposed, and GitGrabber, scraps through all the data which have that particular keyword. Sometimes I feel these things happen on purpose while we are on workshop. These things don't work, and while we are trying it on a regular day, it works out. So these are some negatives. I don't know how that happens. Right. So how to secure my codes on GitHub? So if you're putting it on GitHub, it's already open source code, right? So you cannot really, if you're putting it on GitHub, it will be exposed. You can secure your credentials. Like, you don't want a credential to be exposed on GitHub and you're working on your computer, say VS Code or anything locally. So use all the sensitive data in your config file and include that in .gitignore file. So that doesn't get updated on GitHub. So this is just, and also you can use private repositories. So once you have private repositories which has never been made public, it never goes on internet. There's something called as Wayback Machine, which which has records of all the previous like versions of the website. So I'll just show you Wayback Archives. Yeah, so this is Wayback Machine. So it is Internet Archive, which is being maintained since 18 years, and you can browse history of any website, any old website from any time, and it has a lot of data. Say a photo editing website. So this is pretty open, nothing illegal in checking this out. So say you want to see a version from January 1, 2020 at this particular time. It shows you the snapshot of that version. So once something is on internet, it's very true that it cannot be taken down. Wayback is a very important, right, it's showing this. But anyway, my concept was, yeah, this has not shown any critical data until now. If I had a few more API keys set up, it would have worked. But right, so I had made a takeaway for both developers and attackers. So attackers can use this Git grabber, and I've already explained you, so please don't break your head reading this. And now there's another repository in payload all things called as API key leaks. So in that particular API key leaks, you can go and you can understand how different keys could be exploited. Say you get Google Maps API keys, use this, exploit it, make a proof of it, make a image or video, send it to the company and ask them to fix it. And Bug Bounty has a lot of money, to be honest. Right, so this looks closed. Right, let me give another try because I really love Git grabber. So yeah. So let's see if any sensitive data is leaked from this particular name. Meanwhile, until now, I've explained you about how open source information gathering works, the Spiderfoot framework, how Google Dorking works. Google Dorking is not just limited to Google; it can even go to things like Bing search or Yahoo search or whichever search engines you're comfortable with, right? So just the name is Google, but it can be made everywhere. I am explaining you about Git grabber, and I also explained you about Wayback Machine. Wayback Machine shows a lot of old data. I don't know. If you had seen my status on WhatsApp, you would have seen before me putting few exposed API keys. So this is how I got it in 5 minutes. So if my API keys wouldn't have been exhausted, I could have shown you a live example. It says status code 200, but there's no important sensitive data. Right. So I think I'll wrap up the information gathering part because I need to show you how attacks work and also basics of Burp Suite, which is a very important framework in doing attacks. I'll show you OTP bypass of a very, very, very important mobile organization which develops mobile phones. Yeah, I've got another question meanwhile. So if I clone a Git repo and then it contains .config.yml file to clone a local machine, including all credentials. So basically, no, you make a .gitignore file, you put your config.yml file in that. It never gets uploaded on your Git, but it always remains on your local machine and you file it. I mean, you work on it. So that's how it works, Shubhendu. Yeah, so I'm very, sure about Git grabber working, even though it's not working right now. You can always go back and work, and you can always text me if you have any queries with regard to that. So I think I just close the recon part now, and let's start the attack part of it, right? I don't know. I don't feel like leaving Git Grabber. I love this. Right. So now I'll explain you how AWS S3 buckets are taken or found and hijacked. Right. So, okay, I'll leave this anyway. So, yeah, I'll stop Spiderfoot as well. So Spiderfoot would have collected some information until now. Spiderfoot, yeah, right. Okay, it's closed, right? But some information was always collected. You can put email ID and you can check. And this was Google Docs. I'm closing this, and this is Git Grabber. It did work, not yet, right? Cool. So yeah, so as developers, you can always, not put any sensitive data. Yesterday itself, Abhijit was telling me how the practical. Okay, I remember I had found a repo which does not allow you to put sensitive data to your GitHub. So this could be a huge takeaway for all the developers. Just set it with your CI, and this would not let any critical information to be. Oh, oops. I don't like infinite loops. Right. So these developers can always use this and, go with that. Information gathering might be a bit boring. I'll just wrap up AWS S3 bucket as soon as possible. And then, yeah. So here is AWS S3. We'll be using this tool for today called as Lazy S3 by legendary Namsek, right? So this is very easy to use. We just need to put the company name, Ruby Lazy R3. I mean, it's a platform in Ruby, right? So yes, so I think we are running out of time. Ravi is pointing time to me. Yeah, so I'll just close Git Grabber. Okay, I'll just close it. Yeah, let it go. Yeah, so yeah, we have Lazy S3. Yeah, so now let's run it. Ruby lazy s3.rb space company name, right? So which company shall we put? Let's put again design company. Yeah, I'll put this photo design company and see if any buckets are there on this name. So basically what happens is, for the bucket you make, it forms in this way, like name of the bucket dot AWS bucket dot S3 and stuff. Wait, I have put a write-up as well. Yeah, so here is the write-up which has clear information which you can read. I'm giving in description. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, at the end of this talk, I'll be sharing all the links as well. So everyone who's attending, you will get everything. And I will personally be available all the time to, answer to your questions if you have any. So this is how we use the S3 bucket. This shows 403. 403 is error, like not found. 404, 403. 400 XX, 4XX series is for, not found. If this would have been 200, then definitely Canva dot, I mean, that particular platform dot S3 bucket, I mean, S3 dot Amazon AWS.com would have been available, and you could have, taken a look at all the important sneaky data, right? Which you can always use. So this is, these are the tools which we would use. Also, I need to tell you that